Hello guys, it's Paula, and I'm going to attempt to make a like a coin envelope. Now, I've seen them, and I've made myself a pattern. So I'm going to give you the measurements of the pattern. So I would start off. You want to start off with a square that is I have it written down. A square that is 7 3/4 by 7 1/2. And you want it to be sitting right here. The 7 1/2 is going to be the portion that is across, and the 7 1/2 is the height. Okay, so the width is 7 3/4 and the height is 7 1/2. So that's where you want to start. Now, how to explain the rest of it, I don't know. We'll just do the very best we can. Okay, so the first thing I think we need to do is remember that we have in the center, we're going to have 3 1/2, you know, or a little bit more than that if you want to do a little bit more. But 3 1/2 is what we want our center to be. From, I forgot to put a measurement on this one, so we'll just measure it real quick. 3 1/2 and 1 3/4. So we're gonna come in right here, and we're going to, let me think a second how I want to do this. So we're going to do, let's flip it around. We want to flip it around and score at 1 3/4 right here. So I did flip the paper around. So it's upside down now, okay? So you want to score at 1 3/4 on what will be the left side of the coin envelope. Now we're going to flip it back around, and I'm scoring on my cutting mat. You can do this either way. Now the top is going to be back at the top of the cutter. Now this time I'm going to take where I scored right here. It's hard to see, I know. And I'm going to come in 3 1/2 inches. So I'm going to pull the 3 over to 3 1/2 inches to that line right there. Okay. And getting it all lined up here. I hope this makes sense. I'm sure a lot of you, once you get the measurements figured out, make yourself a template like I did. And all you got to do is cut around it and not ever worry about it again. Okay, so I have scored it on this side. And I've scored it on this side, which is going to give me the width of 3 1/2 inches in the middle. Okay, right here. Now, this is the easiest way I know how to do it. We're going to have the top flap is going to be 1 1/4. Okay, so let's mark that 1 1/4. I'm just going to take I'm going to actually, you know what? I think I'm going to open it. Let's open it and mark it at 1 1/4. Because we want to mark it here. And actually, we could score that. Let's just score it. We're going to score it at 1 1/4. And we're going to end up with squares on each side, but that's okay. So then you're going to flip the bottom up over here, and we're going to score it at 1 1/2. They kind of sound similar, don't they? 1 1/2. Okay. Hopefully I didn't get those turned around. 1 1/2. I don't think I did. It's going to be shorter than I thought I was going to do it. See, from here to here. But that's okay. We'll figure it out. That really should have been the top and that should have been the bottom. But you decide. Because basically we're folding in. You want to take the small side and put over the larger side. We almost matched it. We came pretty close. So we're going to cut all the 4 corners out, okay, where we scored it. So we're just going to cut them straight and try to stop before you get to the big score line. And there we go. Okay, now we're going to cut here. Now, you know, it's hard to get these just perfect unless you do have a template. And that's why I'm making myself a template doing this. And I'm just letting you guys come along. So we're going to do it on the bottom as well. Now I'm using a lightweight paper. I prefer a lightweight paper. So it's easier to score and easier to fold without getting big old tears and cracks in the paper. I did the first one I did in craft paper, but I didn't like it as well. It's just too heavy and bulky. And this will be better in your book. Now, this is probably not going to be perfect. Since I got this off a little bit, I'm just going to trim it straight across because it won't be the size I want it to be otherwise. So normally your longer of the 2 flaps, here and here, the longer is the top. And the shorter is the bottom. You know how it is when you try to cut a straight line, when you got a cutter right in front of you. Paula. Okay. So we're going to go like this, and then this is going to fold up. Now, if this isn't wanting to fold up because this is hanging too low, you look at this and see where it needs to be trimmed and just trim a little bit in on it. Let me go from this side to be easier. Trim a little bit in, just trim a little edge off here on both sides. You want to start small. You don't want to start by cutting off a big piece. Okay, and then we're going to fold that in, and that will go up like we want it to now. See? Okay, so we're going to do the same thing up here because I can see that it's a little big. So we're going to take it, trim it out. Trim it in just a little bit. I've never made one of these where it was perfect, I'll just tell you. And I've made them other ways, but I couldn't find my template from when I think Gail had a video a long time ago on how to do these for your traveler's notebooks, but I can't. I guess I didn't make a template. I made a bunch at that time. Okay, so now we're going to fold it in, fold it up, and fold it down. Now, on this portion right here, you can see that it's running the opposite way. The little motorcycle is upside down here on the flap and here. So we're going to fix that. But first, I want to reshape. I just want to go right here at the bottom and kind of bring it up a little bit and reshape this flap. Now, you could, if you wanted to, you could do that. You can measure and do it just exactly the same. Or you could flip this little triangle over like you would on a tag. But I'm not that picky. So now I'm going to get, to fix this being upside down, I'm going to get some music sheet. And it's funny, this one says The Race. I feel like I got my paper a little crooked. I'm going to show you the one I made before I this is what we're going to attempt to do here. See where I brought the flap up and brought the music sheet into the mix? Okay, so what we're going to do is leave this open because we don't want to glue it yet. But think about this being the right direction. So we got our music sheet up facing us, and we want this to be upside down so that when we bring it down, it will be correct. And I'm just lining it up straight on one of the lines of the music sheet. And then you just draw around it on both sides and across the bottom. And you're going to know where I stopped here, that's where you need to go straight across. Okay, and we're going to do the same thing with the bottom piece. And you're probably thinking, why am I doing this upside down? Well, that's how it has to be in order to fit on here correctly. Just try to line it up as straight as you can. And don't overlap the other one, because that will cause you some havoc. Now, after you get this all done, you can decorate with music sheet or text or whatever. I thought we would decorate with, we're going to cut the small one out first because I can barely see it and I don't want to lose it. And you just use your Fabri-Tac and you will have to do some trimming once you get this on because it may not go on exactly perfect like, you know, like you want it to. I didn't get this super straight either. It didn't look like. Oh, well, what can I say? Okay, so we're going to glue that on. Or we can wait. Let's wait and glue it on after we put this together. But let's cut out this other piece first. Okay, this cuts at an angle. Cuts at an angle here. And here. It's going to go straight across. And I believe it goes straight across here. We'll find out if I cut it in the right spot. Okay, so now when this is down, this is down. Also, it looks like I did. Ha ha! What's up with that? Okay, so I'm not going to cut these. I'm not going to put these. You could round these corners if you want. Usually the only one I round is this one, or you can slant it again. Either way, whichever way it works for you. I'm going to slant it because it's easier and faster. Okay, now I'm going to move all this stuff out of the way. So I'm going to put just a little, you know, you put the big flap down first, and I'm just going to put a little bit of Fabri-Tac right here. Come on. To glue the two flaps together. Okay, just like that. Now, you just have, the big thing to remember is that you want to make sure the portion that the flap folds over is always a little bit lower than where the score line is. You don't have to score these. I did it like that so you guys could see it better, but a lot of times I don't even score. I just fold and hope for the best. I know that sounds crazy, but that's what I do. Okay, so let's get up here. Alrighty. Flip it over. Now you want to try not to get the glue on the bottom portion here, or you could have flipped it like this, which is probably the smartest thing to do. Now, I can't believe I got that perfect. Look at that. What's the odds of that? Except right here, there's a little bit sticking out, just a little. So just trim any excess, and then you're going to see right here is where you're going to have your biggest excess, and you want to make sure that's stuck down as good as possible. They're flapped down, and then just trim this. Be careful not to cut your coin envelope. And there you go. Now, if you want to ink all this, you can. I didn't because it was just for video purposes, but if you want to, you sure can. Now, I didn't trim the paper down like I did this, so we'll do that after. We'll trim the music sheet down. So the main thing to remember on adding music sheet to your flaps is just to do it upside down. If you're looking for a right side up, unless you have just like a polka dotted paper, or you have, you know, something like that. But the key to it is to cut this off here. I got a little crooked. I'm going to try to straighten it out so it didn't go on there crooked. Okay, now just kind of lay it on here and hope that everything goes for the best here. If not, we'll just trim it and make it work, you know? It's the best way to do it. Yeah, I got it a tiny bit short. Well, maybe not. I don't have it pulled out all the way. So we're going to trim this little edge right here, like we did on the other one. Trim it right here. Yeah, and I did get it slightly off here, so I'm going to trim that little top corner. Yeah, so there we go. See, everything is right side up. Now, we're going to glue this bottom portion down because it will stay sealed. And yeah, if I can get that without leaking it all over the place. Okay, now we've got the bottom flap down, which I would recommend if you're doing something if you want to do it, you can ink it. But, you know, if you bought these just like this, they wouldn't be inked. So you could do it yourself. So, I'm not done yet. I decided I wanted to cut out a heart. Now, all I did, let me get the music sheet. Actually, it would be the sheet is a text. Let me get my book text here. So you just take your book text and you make sure it's right side up, because believe me, I have cut some of the hearts upside down and the text ends up being wrong. So let's do it like this. Fold it in half. And I do this freehand. I just cut the shape of a heart, depending on how or what type of heart you want. Like, I like them long and thin, but sometimes, yeah, I like them wonky like that, see? So you could do it just like this. You want to make sure you have some space in here. I did do it a little big. Let me shorten it a little bit. There we go. Always just fold. If you want your hearts to be, you know, be able to match really well, just do them like that. Now, this heart doesn't fit there, so I'm going to get a piece of white paper. I got it right here. Let me grab it. we want to try to match up and cut that as close. I'm just going to use some of this, the back of this. Okay, so here we've got our little heart. Let me cut this off. We're just going to turn this paper over. Okay, so we want the little heart to be as close to this style as we can. If we want to, we can hold it up here and kind of look at it ahead of time, or put it up here so we can see it as we're doing it. I'm kind of a visual person, so yeah, I don't know if that's going to work or not, but just make a smaller heart. Oops, I kind of made a wonky heart. Gave it a little square point right there. Now, all you have to, it doesn't have to be exactly, yeah, I got it pretty close, didn't I? Okay, now, see, if this was inked at this point, you could see much better. And you would probably like the results of it better. But I'm just going to glue these together. No ink or anything, because this is going to be my example. Just to kind of hang on to, since I can't seem to remember if I don't. Okay. Now, I have some little hearts. I keep a little case of just different little hearts. Oops, first let's put this heart on the envelope, and then we'll go back and add what we need to add. Okay. You want, when you do it, you want to make sure your flaps are closed so you get it exactly in the center. Just like that. Can you guys see? Let me move this back. You want to fix it where it's right in the center here. You can see I've got a mess going today. I'm kind of exhausted from just making a mess. So I have this little thing full of all kinds of goodies. So I'm going to stick a heart in here. I'm just going to grab a pink one since we've got a pink scooter in the background. Now this isn't the exact same shape, and that's okay. It doesn't have to be. We're just gluing it on there for a little extra something. Okay. And we're just gluing it up at the top here. See? Now I'm going to take my black mark or black pen. What did I do with it? There it is. And I'm going to just, in order to give it some kind of, make sure you can see, some kind of separation, I'm just going to just kind of go around the heart. Okay. Now, on the outside of this big heart, I'm going to do it on the paper outside of the heart instead of on the heart. Because you can do it in a more messy way. See, I like to kind of get scribbly. I know some of you don't like that because it's kind of, you're worried you're going to mess it up after this far along. But that's all right. I really think this one needs to look scribbly too. There we go. Scribble, scribble. And depending on which color you are working with would be which pen you would use. So, even though I made a little boo-boo right there, I think we'll be all right. My pen acted like it wanted to start leaking. So, this is it. This is how it's going to end up looking. And you could do whatever you want on here. I just thought I'd do hearts because that's kind of simple. And I scribbled because I didn't ink, but you could do both. And, yeah. So this is a shorter than normal video, but this is what I wanted to show you today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you guys had a great day today. And if you enjoyed this little coin envelope, give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed, please do. Appreciate you guys. Bye.